as I say, problems change as you start to grow, and the problems now is trying to find, for me, is really trying to hone in on our program ourselves. Um, when you called me, Wally, we were just we work out before 4 days a week before school, and trying to work with the school to be able to get the first period as our ice time, because right now we practice right after school, which is great, which is um, you know, uh, you know, much better than the club teams that practice at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So that's one of the advantages. But um, yeah, it's trying to get the right people that are involved, like from the people. And again, the challenge that I have, to be honest, is like why are you coming here? Why are you coming here to our program? If you're coming here just for the hockey, it's not. Yeah, I suggest that you don't. Um, and for me, it's the holistic approach to um, the school, the hockey, what enables you to be able to come to 7 a.m. workouts, right? You just can't. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to 7 a.m. workouts. I'm going to go to bed at midnight. It doesn't work out that way. And so, um, but you have to have a certain amount of commitment and a certain desire to be able to want to do that. I think, unfortunately, there's some parents that just look at the hockey side and not so much don't support on the educational side. And I mean that's a little bit of the challenge. But those challenges are better to have than just trying to fill a roster like we were last year, even the year before. So
How much is the school and the academic standards and the philosophy helping you with your athletes? Because it sounds like that's a key factor of how you're operating.
yeah, yeah. And I'll be honest. It weeds out um, the kids pretty quick. To be honest, I think unfortunately, we've had a couple of our better players that weren't able to meet the academic standards, and um, it made themselves ineligible. And but and they the school has been very, very supportive in trying to help them along academically. And if at the end of the day, if the student doesn't choose to put in the time, if the parents don't support that, then it's going to be very, very difficult for there to be any type of accountability on the school side. And so for me, the girls that and boys that have the parent support, I mean, I guess that it goes with anything, but the parent support and finding value in the school piece and making sure that they do the things necessary to give them the best chance to succeed. Have again, that's the type of program that we want to have. And we're it's to answer your question, it's been very, very helpful to be able to have that academic standard, that that accountability, because to be able to practice at 7 in the morning, be able to get the work that they're giving you, and to be able to kind of rinse and repeat that, be on the ice 5 days a week. There has to be a certain amount of discipline. And I say this to the kids from the beginning. I'm like, it needs to be a choice. It can't be a sacrifice. If you feel that it's going to be a sacrifice to come here and there's other things that you're missing out on, it's probably not the program for you. You have to choose to want to have these development opportunities to then be able to how that works for you. So that's as I say, like, we've finally gotten to the point where we've gotten the critical mass where we have the numbers where now it's like people will call, and if their first question isn't about the school, then it's a longer conversation on how that it's a big part of being a part of our program. And I see the two girls that have graduated. As I say, my daughter has done extremely well because of the standard that she had to hold up to, and the amount of time management that she had to figure out as far as her years here. The other girl is going at RIT. She's doing really well as like hockey wise, and I'm not sure on her school, but she was a 4.0 grade here, so I don't anticipate it being any different. But it's really prepared them for that. as I say, it's unfortunate that some don't see the value of the school side of it, but it directly relates of, if they're going to be able to handle the academic and the athletic vigor that is going to be in college. So I've been pretty pleased so far, but as I say, it's unfortunate a couple of them just haven't been able to.
Peter, I'm going to let you ask your question or bring it with your hand up, but down the road, Dom, I'd love to have your daughter's head coach and you on to talk about what we've talked about relative to recruitment, just for the sake of parent understanding and appreciation and young players. It was unbelievable, but down the road, Peter might be able to be involved in that and get involved, knowing all now that we know that you guys know each other. But Peter, go ahead, your hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't gloss over a great point that Dominic made about players making a choice versus considering it a sacrifice. You get to play the greatest game there is out there, in my opinion. And if you think that you have to sacrifice to play it, then I think you're looking at it wrong. 100% to his point about, like, you made a choice. Like, you get to do something great, and you're choosing to do things that will make you better and give you a better experience. I don't see how that's a sacrifice. I think choice is exactly the perfect word to use for that. So I didn't want that to be glossed over. I think that's a huge point.
Dom, I'm trying to interpret that. Like, I'm thinking of myself. Sacrifice was never something I felt. I never gave up anything. I just went and did it. It was great. And
Yeah.
the idea of sacrificing is sort of the reason for what you choose to do. What do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? So you got to know where you're going and your direction, your sense of perspective. And I don't know if you've had that picture on your wall behind you very long, but I did take note of it. But can you read that to us again, Dom?
Yeah, a coach will impact more young people in a year than the average person does in a lifetime. It was actually a gift. It was a gift from one of the players last year. One of the parents and they had grabbed a bunch of pictures of my kids, myself and my wife and the team, and yeah, it's a phenomenal gift. But yeah, it's the message. I think we all are probably doing what we do because we, at some way, shape, or form, believe in what that message is.
Well, Dom, I've got to tell you the story. You might be aware of this, but years ago, Tom and I are mentoring in Cochrane. I'm working for P3 Sports out there, and you've been out there, and you know the setup. But I went to a bit of a banquet with it was a wrestling banquet because they have a great wrestling program in Cochrane at the arena where they have all the equipment. And I used to take the U12 athletes down there and their parents and participate with the wrestling coaches. But when I went to the banquet, it was a fundraiser. And there was a wood carving with the quote you have on your back wall. I outbid everybody for it. It went up to $150, but it was worth it. And it's hanging in the office with Ryan Hilderman at P3 Sports. And as you know, the middle P of three, the three P's is perspective. And really, that's sort of what we're talking about here is, you asked Tom, what are you doing? What you're doing? Why are you doing it?
Well, you mean the coaching?
Yourself, yeah, you're still coaching.
I enjoy doing it, and it's really nice to work with my son. And and I think, like you say, you can impact a lot of people. Like right now, I posted a few things from midget AAA team, and I'm watching, and it was one of the first midget AAA teams I coached. And I'm looking here and I think 6 or 7 of these girls got scholarships, either to Canadian universities, Div 3, and I think one went Div 1 in NCAA, just on this one team. So, you know, you can help people out quite a bit, you know, and I think, you know, the two of us, and we have a lot to offer because being in it a long time, taking the time to, you know, learn stuff, and you know, that's why I do it.
I think it's a perfect time to bring up John Wooden's point. I think it was after his 15th national championship. And they caught him outside the room, and the press said, "What do you think of your team? What they've accomplished?" And his answer was, "Ask me in 25 years."
Oh, exactly. I just got a neat text from Cassie. Cassie Campbell helps me coach. And they had the AAAs had I'm coaching the U15s.
Yeah.
The U18 coach had my players practice after our practice on Tuesday. So her daughter scored a goal and she took a little video of it. And she said she scored at U18 AAA practice, and we also worked on angling and whatever. She said she loved it. Told me she got a lot of confidence from it and needs to bring that to our team. Like her daughter just decided she wanted to be a player. I coached her in U13, and you know, she whatever. And when she didn't make our team last year, she asked her parents to put her in skating and stuff and that in the morning. And she's really, really improved. And now, you know, now she wants to do what she needs to do to become a player. And I think that's what we want, right, Dom?
Yeah. It's as I say, it's the switch, and it's funny with girls. And again, I just, from my personal experience, it seems to switch at around one way or the other, like 13, 14, 15, around that age.
Yeah.
Where they either like they go all in, or they're like, I'm not really interested in. Yeah, I mean, it's as you say, it comes down to like what Peter had pointed out. It's like I choose to be able to do this. Like, this is the greatest game in the world, like he said, and I get this opportunity, and I get all these opportunities to make myself better. Like that's ultimately it, right? And that's the ones that get better. And I think I like I say that at my opening like barbecue type thing, and it's more so like for parents to be able to understand, like if you're having to tell your kid, oh, you have to do this, you have to go to this morning workout, you have to this, no, this, that's, and everything else, then you've got to ask yourself, like, are they like, who's it for, right?
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, and again, like you gotta, like, I've had to have some hard conversations with some parents when they say, they come into my office after their senior year and they're like, well, we want to put them to, you know, they give me a list of all these D1 schools on the boys side, and they're just like, we want to go, like, can you call these teams for me? And I'm like, okay, wait, time out. Like, your son doesn't do any extra when there's the option of you know, because there's always times when, you know, during exam week, or when there's down weeks, you like optional practices, he never comes to them, right? There's, you know, again, like, you have to ask yourself, who is this for? Like, who is the one that's motivated to put in the work, right? So I'm sure it's, you know, prevalent, whether it's either side of the border. It's like the parents
And
sometimes.
you got to watch who you recommend too.
Well,
Because if
yeah,
you're
well,
just
that's,
telling
yeah,
everybody all come, because we have that right now. There's about going to a sports school and our probably least committed player. And we're really having trouble saying, yeah, because like, I think maybe she's playing for other people, not for herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to miss practice and games. And
No, but and I guess from my side with the program that we're running here, I want I want to know, like, if you can get through the program and you can make the commitment to be able to be at the early morning practices, and you're like, we've got shooting areas, and you're constantly asking me to do things and do extra, I'll have no problem putting you anywhere. I'll call anybody, right? Like, but
Yeah.
if it's twisting your arm and there's always an excuse to, well, I've got this and I can't and this and that, like, I'm not going to recommend you. I'm not going to suggest that, and because I've got a couple girls that are very like from a skill perspective, from an on ice ability. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've had coaches ask me about it, but I have a really hard time saying, yeah, this is a person that's going to get better, because I know she's not doing the things to get better under me. So why all of a sudden is now she's going to be away from her parents in a situation where I don't know that, and so I just say I question her commitment. I'm just honest. I question her commitment, and
I have a
I
thought.
feel bad, but
Well, my thought is, no matter what, you vote with your feet. You can
yeah,
say the right thing, right?
yeah,
But do you show up?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. No
you know,
actions, right?
and
Yeah, absolutely.
if they don't, I mean, you can say everybody knows what to say in a certain situation.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that, because I've had some conversations with some of the kids in regards to, because you're right, everybody knows what to say. They're so conditioned, right? They come in and they're apologizing, they have exactly the right things to say. And I just stop them. I just stop. I said, show me, show me, right? Show me by, well, what do you mean show me? Yeah, show me that you're on time. Show me that you're early on time. Show me with your actions that you're committed. Don't tell me how committed you are. Don't tell me how much you want to do it. Show me what you show, because I promise you, when you go somewhere, like I was telling Sophia with Chris's team, they had 30 girls when they went there this year, and she was worried she wasn't going to play. She was concerned she wasn't going to play, and so I just said, every day you show up, you do the right things. And I said, you don't be worried about what anybody else does. You show up on time, you show up ahead of time, you do the extra, you do it for yourself. And I said, he'll take note. A good coach will note the small things that you're doing, right? Like he has, and he's smart. He's very, very smart. He's done it a long time. He'll have optional meetings with the coach. Optional. It's your option. You can come if you want. And he said, some girls don't come. And she, because they're probably afraid of what is going to be said, right? But I said to her, I said, it's very, very smart, because if they're afraid that he's going to be truthful with them as why they're not playing, if you're not able to hear why you're not playing, then you can't argue why you're not playing. And so, you know, I think that there's something to that in regards to what you do. What you do some of the time is what you do all the time. I mean, it's very cliche and it's been said a lot, but I think it holds so true with being able to prepare girls for our boys or whatever, for I mean for hockey, just for setting up with the best chance of success. Because ultimately, how many are going to go on? Who knows, right? I don't know what the extra they're doing. I can't. I don't know what what they're if they're watching video. Like I don't know that, right? But um, yeah, show with your actions. I think that's to me that's the simplest thing you can do, right?
Yeah.
Dom, I'm listening to you. It's amazing because we have an elite hockey program, girls hockey, Calgary, starting at U13, and I'm not sure many of them are elite in terms of showing you and doing the right
Yeah,
things all the time in a unquestionable, consistent fashion. Uh, and like you said, some of them may not from U13 even want to play more because they've learned this year the commitment and the sacrifice in their lives is
yeah,
something. It's very
yeah,
hard to do anything else. But so my concern, and Tom's, I'm sure, as a teacher in high school and junior high, it's just coaching in sports in general, not whether they made a team or not and went up the next level. A lot did, you know. That wasn't my reason for coaching. In a high school setting in particular, tied in with the education, I'm more concerned with what they do when they leave school and they're learning their lives. And my story, which isn't about elite athletes, and I've had Olympic wrestlers that I've coached in junior high, but this was a wrestler that, a story that's worth telling because of the perspective of sport. In a high school I was working in, I constantly recruited kids for wrestling. And I used to patrol the hallways for the kids that were like under 125 pounds, under 100 pounds, because those low weight categories, you could get more competition and win more medals and be more competitive. And I badgered this one kid for a year, all year. And finally he came out and he put in his 2, 3 years, whatever it was. And I never thought anything of it. I don't know where he went or what he did with his life. He never won a championship or got an accolade or anything. But I love one-on-one coaching because you don't put in the effort, you're on your back. You got to learn about yourself and your courage. You got to master some biomechanical, physiological, fitness kind of things. So he worked hard at it. And it's 15 years later, I'm in Montreal coaching the women's oval team, playing an exhibition game against the Montreal team. I get a phone call. I'm at my hotel. It's this guy calling, Mr. Kozak. I see your team's in town. Can I come and meet you after the game? And I said, sure. Well, what are you doing here? He says, well, I'm doing the sound for the Montreal Forum. I handle the sound system here. And I said, well, look, I'll be love to see you after the game. So the game's over. I come out and meet this guy who was like a 90-pound kid. And I think the highest weight class he wrestled at was 135 before he left school. Now he's about 6'1" and big and looking normal. And he thanked me for badgering him to come out wrestling and said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. And he recognized that all the time he put in at doing something to discover, what his level of competition was going to be and how hard he'd work, that's more rewarding than a kid that makes the NHL. Because he came up how many years after and said thank you, which you've experienced. And I look at the sign on your wall, it's a tribute to doing things the right way for the right reason. And it's not that we don't want them to achieve their goals, but to do it, it's their choice. If they choose to do the right things to the degree they need to, they'll accomplish their goals. It's really important. So I'm so glad you got on, Dom. Anything to add to Peter? Tom?
Well, I think one of the things, and you quoted John Wooden a little bit ago. Nick Saban, right, who made his career at Alabama. One of the things that he had mentioned that has stuck with me, and honestly trying to now pass that on to my grandson a little bit, is there's a difference between spending your time and investing your time when you're an athlete. And it's kind of fun now to kind of play that little game with my grandson. I'll say, give me a situation where you're investing your time. And he'll say, well, I did push-ups today. And I said, okay, why is that investing your time? Because he's just starting to play hockey. He's 7. So he said, because that'll make me stronger. It'll make my shot better too. I said, okay, give me an idea about spending your time. Well, like when I'm on my screens. So he's already understanding the difference. And I think that's something that collegiately, I'm hoping moving forward, some of these guys that are playing and girls that are playing now will understand. But once you understand the difference between spending your time, yeah, I practice every single day. Well, do you just go to practice and go through the motions? Or do you invest your time and try to work on a skill that you know you need to get better? So that point that he made, I just love that. I just think it's a good forum to bring that up and to mention that, because once you can get players bought into investing their time versus spending their time, I think you could end up with something pretty special.
It's a good one.
Peter, I want to make a point. Thomas Pacina brought this up. It totally relates to what you've said. He calls it extreme focus. You know, investment of time and the effort you put in requires you to be dialed in. It's pretty hard to dial in for a practice. So he had a small group of professional players he was working with. He had the drill he was going to do, and he would have them sit on the bench, talk about the drill and what its purpose was, and visualize themselves doing it and why they were doing it, and then go out and do the drill. And he felt that sacrificing one or two of his drills during his hour plan was more valuable. You doing that exercise before you went out and did a drill, you just sort of push through. They need a reminder once in a while to, hey, let's dial in here. Let's close our eyes. Let's think about what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we can do better. Let's get more committed to focusing on the effort and the technique we want. I've tried it once with a skills group, and it was like night and day. And this was with a group of major junior 6 kids that were good players who were working on a competitive scoring, outnumbered drill. And, you know, they were doing okay, but then I brought them to the bench and we just talked about the drill and all the elements within it and how they could execute better, and to think about that and put their minds to the exercise, and away they went, and it was like night and day. And it's not that it lasts forever, but it's just educating the importance of listening, focusing, self-awareness, and application.
Right. Well, I think like the last several minutes here that we've been talking, I think really what we're talking about, and this is kind of one of the fun things about coaching, right? Because, you know, we're not talking about, hey, this is what I do on the power play, or this is how I make a penalty kill. We're talking about the basic root of success is your ability to manage people. Your ability to manage people, that's what makes you a successful coach. That's what this all comes down to, what we're talking about, right? You can go on and you can find the best power play in the world, and you can create little robots if you want, but your ability to manage people that will understand everything you're talking about, like the sign that Dom has up there, like the players have to understand that as well, right? That they're part of something special. They have to understand, like I say, that difference between investing your time and spending your time, the choice, right, versus sacrifice. Once you can teach that, and I think everybody here can do that because, you know, you've all got the pedigrees, right? Because in history of having done that, that's one of the best things we can pass on to anybody listening who are coaches is I'd much rather get caught up in this, what we're talking about, than what power play or penalty kill, because that's for me, right? I think everybody here, that's not hard. It's not hard to figure out how to play, how, you know, straight lines on a penalty kill, don't turn your back, when to go, when not to go. All that stuff is fairly rudimentary. But this is really what becomes a success or not success for a player and or a coach. I mean, that's just kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I've had coaches that were organized to, like, every detail was down, and the but the culture of the team wasn't great. And but it wasn't a case of them not having everybody understanding what they needed to do in regards to, whether it's, like you say, power play or penalty kill or forecheck or neutral or whatever it is. And um, the ability to be able to have, as you said, to manage people, the ability to be able to have, and they say it's buy-in, and so in a sense it is, but yeah, just to have, but it needs to be like the collective of everybody, like, and that was the thing, like these organizations and like the teams, like you've got, trainer, like everybody from the strength coach to the equipment guy, like everybody has to be kind of pushing and pulling in the same way. And I can think about the Flames, like their strength coaches. I'm good buddies with the strength coach in Calgary. I lived with him during COVID when they brought the farm team up there. This guy is off the charts. And again, like there was guys that in his position prior that were like they had their masters in kinesiology, like they had like an unbelievable wealth of knowledge in regards to the physiology of the body. But as far as being able to create the environment in the gym and be able to have the players wanting to be there, it was, there was guys that wanted to fight some of the guys that were there prior, right? And again, but it was such a key component of what we're talking about, the relationship. So I think, again, from afar watching, and I've talked to some guys a little bit with the Flames, but the fact that the guy that I work with, Kale, and the strength coach that are there, like these guys are really, really aware of their surroundings and aware of how they treat people. And it's not surprising that they've had some success, because I think that they're huge components of that. What makes a successful organization or a successful team is that piece